Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
the future.
For those in the United Kingdom, sorry about the weather. This has been the worst summer I can ever remember. And it carries on being grey. One good thing about being in space is there won't be so many clouds on the moon.
I'm sure that there will be other weather problems.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. You'll also be able to hear Angelina and Maria, who are nearby. They're very excited this evening. Yeah. Okay, let's make a start. Welcome everybody. I haven't got my camera on yet, but I will have in about 7 minutes time. I'm Len Topic, the chair of Parliament of Asgardia, and this is our weekly informal question and answer session. We have this every week just to keep up to date with what's going on, and I will report some important information as well. My signal may not be very good for the next 5 minutes, so I'm going to start by, if Peter is here, asking Peter to give a summary of the chairs meeting we've just had. Is Peter available? I'm not able to see it at the minute. Peter may not be. John, do you want to summarize? John Fine, do you want to?
Sure, I can.
What happened at the chairs meeting?
Well, basically, we went over.
By the time you finish, if you speak slowly, that should be in a much better signal there. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it was a short meeting. It didn't last long. We went over the legislation that everybody will be presenting in the ALF. Went over the details. The ALF that's coming up, Asgardia Legislative Forum. And of course, this is the legislation that will be presented in the next digital session. And we're preparing for it in the ALF first. Uh, there was Sarah presented a nice app or a calendar program that I'm sure she's going to be talking about and ask questions about that. You know, Sarah Clark, of course. And there were some details discussed about that. And I'm sure she will be doing some kind of presentation later on to let everybody know what that's all about. But it looks like a really good, useful tool. Um, Whenever it's sort of like having a day planner or something like that, but you can download it digitally. But like I said, I'm sure she'll be presenting something on that soon. Um, Other than that, I think uh, Peter briefly went over his need for love life, but other than that, everything was we were pretty set up for everything we needed to get done, and everybody seemed to have a good vision on which way they wanted to go. That's all I have.
John, thank you very much. Yes, just to clarify that unfortunately the Asgardia delegation has not yet been, so we don't have a way of assisting Peter on these matters. Sarah, do you want to briefly explain the very interesting project that you are developing?
I would love to. Yes, I'm here. I'm
go
trying
ahead.
to figure out.
If you explain, it's really great.
Okay, well, thank you. I will try to drop examples in the chat. So, basically, what I've was struggling with during the eclipse was just like translating dates because like I can't even get time zones right, let alone dates right. And I know that there is like a calendar that we can access, an app that we can access, but I'm a little old school and I like planners. So I took it upon myself to create basically a custom planner. It'll be available digital and print. And it has obviously days, weeks, months, and then like just pages for notes. So it's a very standard. It's not very like super flashy, this first iteration, just to see A, if anybody likes it, and B, if it's really helpful to anybody. It does have our national holidays on it, including the extra day, 2 extra days this year, next year, which is the 30th and the 31st of December. So as the culture committee fleshes out their calendar, I would love to add more, obviously, to more events and holidays to it. What I'm working on right now and what I was discussing in the chairs meeting was the need to get it translated. And so I need to figure out exactly how to do that. Right now, I'm hoping it's in English. Sorry, guys, I speak English. Right now, it is in English. I'm hoping to get it translated into Spanish and Turkish and Russian. So more news on that as that comes. But yeah, I'm hoping to make it available via Star Shop. I don't exactly know how that would work with KPD because it will be uploaded to Kindle digital printing so that they can be ordered individually and shipped anywhere in the world without having to worry about postage and everything that goes into shipping things around the world. So I guess that's it. It's not like super flashy and exciting. I will let me figure out how to drop these examples into the chat. And yeah, happy to answer any questions, but that's it.
Thank you. I have to say that I do have examples of calendars which I can send. I can photograph and send you what I have. Remember? I don't think I did. Hello?
Sorry. No, I just dropped examples of what ours will look like.
Okay.
Obviously, it will have the Asgardian dates and not the traditional Gregorian dates, but that's kind of the layout. If you can see it in the chat.
Thanks. That's great. I remembered I've got some calendars which I can send you example of calendars to Um, um, 1 second. Loving your work. Sorry, I had to say that to somebody who was going past and distracting me. Do you, if you want me to, I can do that later on this evening, and then you can see what I've got. I don't think it'll make a big difference to what for your information, and that would be maybe helpful. I think it's great you're doing this, by the way, Sarah.
Thanks. And yes, I would love to see anything you can send me, and I will either make the edits myself or pass it along to the gentleman who's helping me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, any questions for Sarah or for John, who's just representing Peter? Peter will probably join us anyway shortly, but set on this way. So let me just see. I'm getting my undivided attention. 1 second. Just looking. No one seems to raise their hand. Just checking participants. No. In terms of the delight of the calendar is that it's actually usable all year round. The way it's designed, it's usable all year round. As I was like, from year on year, it never goes out of date. Basically, that's the beauty of it. Designed to be like that, and I'm just very encouraged by the fact that you're doing this. I have to tell you, I have trouble with the calendar as well, for exactly the same reason that you do, to be honest with you. But I know that it's a very logical calendar. That's the wonderful thing about it. It's a very, very logical calendar. And for that reason, I'm very pleased that somebody as logical as you is getting involved in this as well. Any points for Sarah? Okay. I'm going to just check one thing.
I think Ricky has his hand up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead, Ricky. Go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, the calendar is a great idea, actually. It's really good. My other thing is Ken, I sent you a message in chat about your AI paperwork. To send it to the chairman and Linda for the out, so you can do a presentation. That's it.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering if I've got one other question actually for Sarah. Sarah, we were having this conversation about the physical and the digital. I think it would be fantastic to have a physical calendar as well. While we still live on Earth, we can do this kind of thing. It's not that difficult to send things around the. And my feeling is that we should try to have a physical version. I think it would just be a really good one. I do a lot of work in public affairs, and it's quite true. There is still no substitute for being able to hold something in your hand here on our world and enjoy it. And I just think that for that reason, we could also be able to monetize it. It should be something that makes money. And then it's quite a lot of work that you're taking on. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, really the hope was just to like create a series and with the dates on the, wow, it's been that type of day with the dates on the spine. So if you wanted to keep them, you will literally, you'll have a chronology of your time in Asgardia. So if it's well received, I would be more than happy to continue this for 09 and 10 and 11 and definitely. So, I hope you guys like it.
Well, I think it's a terrific idea. I just really like it. like the idea of it. It's as simple as that. I think it's just a great thing that you're trying to do. What other interest? What gave you the idea to do it?
You're breaking up.
Oh, good. I thought it was just me. I was like, I didn't catch that.
Well,
I think we just lost him completely.
Yeah, I think so. Sarah,
Yes.
you're talking about selling through Starshop. That would, as far as printing it, that would probably be a as ordered print.
Yes.
Yeah. So then that way there's not a lot of stock sitting around. But yeah, it's a great idea. Really like it.
Yes. Asgardian day calendar. So I do have the app. I do have the app, but again, I'm a little more old school. And with this calendar, you can literally, it's just like a regular digital calendar. You can enter anything. I'm going to need somebody a little smarter than I am to be able to like integrate it. That is way above my pay grade. But yes, I would love it if
Perhaps
you
talk
would love
to
it.
Ria.
I will do that.
That's all I got.
Can you hear me? Apologies. That should be okay now. Normal business should now be restored. So sorry about that. What gave you the question I had for you was what gave you the idea? What gave you the idea of doing this, Sarah?
Well, first of all, it was me mucking about with dates for the eclipse and poor Benedetto having to like correct me every single solitary time. And I was like, oh, if, if I just had a calendar and I have the app, but it's like I've seen the app, I haven't really like used it. And of course, I log on to the website all the time and look at the calendar. I'm like, I just need like a tactile calendar. Like I still have a calendar on my wall at my house, on my desk, in my purse. I do use my electronic calendar, obviously. I made it to the call, but I just I need to be able to like open something and hold it and look. And plus like I make notes and yeah.
Well, you made it here. I struggle with some aspects of modern technology, but mostly I get on with it and it's okay. But I still like the idea of having a physical thing. Uh, we posted a postcard today for my child. We could have sent the same picture electronically, but her 7-year-old friend will get a postcard. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves of the reality. We maybe live in a matrix, but at least we can fool ourselves some of the time that we don't. Ricky, and then Ariadne.
I'm sorry. I thought I lowered my hand.
All right, no problem. Okay, Ariadne.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that idea about the agenda with the calendar, the Asgardian calendar, every day, every day. Oh, I like it. That's wonderful, Sarah. Yes. A notebook agenda with all the days. Beautiful, beautiful idea.
You're getting a lot of support here because it's easy for them to praise you. You still have to do all the work. I do, as I say, I'll send you copies of the calendars I have here. And then it might be useful too. You can decide if you think it is or not. But I can send those to you, and it's just really good. It's really good that you're doing it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think I do have an example of and this was just a really early rendering of January that I will also try to drop into the chat. Let me see if I can no promises, but I'll look for it.
Okay, that's great. As I say, so that we don't have waste and rework, let me send you what I've got as well, and that would just be very, very good. I've got a lot of calendars, and the great thing is they don't go out of date. The Asgardian calendar never goes out of date. There's one other interesting aspect of this, which will be obvious when I say it. When we actually move into space, years become more complicated. There's only the Earth goes around the sun every 365 and a quarter days. So what would we do on Mars? But we need to have a common reference point, and that's one of the really interesting aspects of the whole thing.
Well, when I was
Thank
on the
you.
website confirming my dates, I think on our website, isn't there like a Mars calendar and a moon calendar coming? Isn't that what it says?
There is. When they built the supersonic jet aircraft Concorde, the French did all the measurements in centimeters, and the British did it in inches. And amazingly, they still managed to stick the two bits together. It worked, but it was very complicated. When we have our digital sittings across the solar system, that is a new challenge. And we're going to have to find a way to make that work too. Thank you. Let me go through my announcements now that my internet seems to have settled down a bit. And thank you again to Sarah. Right, I've got 5 things to report, but they're all very short. First of all, the Asgardia Legislative Forum will be on 16 November. Sorry, I don't know what the Asgardia date for that is. I should have checked. 16th November. That's not this Saturday, but in 9 days' time. 1300 to 1800 latest. Might be a bit shorter. That will be the precursor, the pre-meeting for our next and final digital sitting of this year. It will cover primarily the legislation. That means anyone here who is involved in legislation needs to be there to present the legislation. For example, John Fine will be making a brief presentation about the third reading of the bill, the act that he brought forward the last time. And we got some great feedback, so I don't think it'll be controversial, but that will be under discussion. Also, he'll have some new legislation, antitrust law, first reading, and everybody else as well. Leading to my second point, Corner has done great work on a huge piece of legislation. She's not with us tonight, but I believe it should be 3 pieces of legislation. I expect it'll be 3 pieces in the end. So I need to do a lot of work to make sure that I get that finished up. I'll be working on those and the other legislation. Everything which was passed at first and second reading will go to third read, to the next stage in this digital sitting. We're doing well for legislation at the moment, and that's really encouraging for me. Thirdly, to remind you that the next digital sitting will be 6 December, 7 December, 8 December. And we're beginning 1700 UTC on the Friday, 1300 UTC on the Saturday, and 1500 UTC on the Sunday. People ask me why those timings. Because by convention, we need to have 48 hours for the session, which means that really through protocol development, we open at 1500 on day 1, so we cannot finish before 1500 on day 3. So I start at 1700 on day 1, correction. We start at 1700 day 1, so we can't finish before 1700 day 3. So I start at 1500 on day 3 because it gives me 2 hours to remind you to vote. Because some people come to the sessions and they still don't vote, they don't remember to vote. And then we close the voting at 1700, and then shortly after that, when we finish the whole session, I read out the preliminary results of the voting. For day 2, it seemed like a good compromise to start at 1300. For people in the UK, maybe they prefer 1000, but 1000 is very, very early for John Fine in America. But it's not too bad for our friends in the Far East like Ricky. So it's a balance. It's a balance. It's always nighttime somewhere. So we've gone to 1300 to 2100 for day 3. There's a second reason for that. I will have a look at that in just a minute. Actually, Sarah, you might be able to share that in a minute. Oh, no, it's fine. I don't mind you doing that. But there's a second reason. We don't normally finish at 2100. We normally finish early. So it's not quite so difficult for our Far Eastern friends. And normally we'd start at 1300 and finish something like 1800, 1900 UTC. It is still in the middle of the night over there, but it seems like a reasonable compromise. The legislation that we're discussing at the ALF will form the basis of the legislation that we're discussing at that sitting. And I'm hoping we finish on a high this year. Lots of legislation passed and so on. This leads me to my third point of 5. Chairs of committees, please start thinking about your reports. I do spend a lot of time chasing after the reports. It would be better if you're just able to do them. I know we're all human, and it's my job to get you to do things. But do please remember, we'll put out an early reminder after the ALF, actually, after the ALF. Fourth of 5 things. The process of working out next year's schedule, I'm working on that now. As you know, I hope we're going to have a physical sitting. I need to work this out properly, and we haven't got information yet, but that's my goal. I've been communicating with Head of Nation on a number of issues, and that's one of the things I'm really interested in resolving. And the fifth thing of 5 things, there's some superb work being done by some individuals on project management. And if you have a project that you think we can proceed with, obviously there's legislation, FERDA's bringing some first reading legislation and so on. That's normal. That's great. But if you have a project like Sarah's, what I really hope is that you come forward with it and share it, because it's great when we actually get things done. And it's we who have to do it. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. We have to do it ourselves. So please do come with projects. It's really fulfilling because we are enthusiasts and we're well-educated enthusiasts. So you often get very good feedback from people here. So that would be my request. And we need to sell something, as Ariadne says in the chat. Absolutely right. Because we need to get our economy going. And then we get paid. Then parliamentarians get paid as well. So those are my announcements. Not sure if Peter Morn's joined us yet. Well, we've had the report anyway from John. Right, any questions to me before we go on, and I'll ask if there are any other matters you'd like to raise. Okay. Then next thing. I mentioned recently I'd like to get chairs of committees to do reports to these meetings so that we can broadcast what's going on and we can also share success. So I'm asking for a volunteer for anyone here who's willing to make a brief presentation next week, the next Q&A of work that they've been doing on their committee. I'm just looking for a 5-minute presentation, really, or 10. Would any of the chairs be willing to volunteer? John, why don't we start with yours? Not sure if John's listening. There we go. I'm not gonna commit anyone unless they actually say yes. Sarah, the other thing we could do is because you could then show us those screenshots that you were just using next week, if you're interested. But Finance Committee.
Happy to.
I don't really want to volunteer you if you don't want to do it, but it would be good because we need to get on with the finance legislation as well. Okay, Sarah, if you can do it, even a 5-minute presentation, you can do it with charts or you can do it as verbally, whichever way you prefer. But I'm very happy for you to do that. That's great. Thanks. It's informal. It's just the colleagues here, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But I'll be very happy for you to do that. So that's great. Anybody else want to raise anything today? I've got a lot of work to do with colleagues who've got legislation, and I need to get all of that ready by Monday. Okay. note to Peter, if you're following this up afterwards, Peter Morn, I need to talk with you and Mark Beer about the legal aspects of checking the legislation. That's something I'd like to just get done as well. Okay. Thank you, colleagues. I think that's everything. I'll go to any other business. As usual, if you'd like to raise something, then raise your hand while I'm talking. Otherwise, I'll close the meeting at the end of my comments. The only other business is just to remind you of the dates. 16 November, 1300 to 1800. The next Asgardia Legislative Forum. That's important from my point of view, very important. And then in terms of the other date, just confirming again, I want to make sure I get this absolutely right. Just double checking on my calendar. Friday the 6th, Saturday the 7th, and Sunday the 8th of December in the Earth calendar for our next digital sitting, and the final one for the year. I will be contacting colleagues during the weekend to
Hello.
Chairman Lambert, you are freezer.
Yeah. Like eyes on an iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah, and his face is afraid.
And now it's gone. No,
Yes.
no, it's gone.
Okay.
Okay. This is coming again.
You are again with us. Thank you.
That was ironic. I said everything was working and then it stopped working. I do apologize for that. Okay, I think we're finished anyway. So thanks very much. Hang on. I think you can hear me if you can hear me now. Yeah. So apologies. I said everything was working and then it stopped working. I think I'm overloading it a little bit. I'm not using my normal internet. My normal internet is rock solid. So thank you. And last word to our viewers. Wherever you are in the world, if you're interested in what we've discussed, please do get involved. It would be a real delight to see you joining as a resident of Asgardia, and then you're entitled to all the rights that everybody has to be a participant in Asgardia, stand for election and everything that goes with it. A full member of our civic society. It's 100 solars, which is €100, £100, $100. And you can find out more at Asgardia Space Nation if you look that up on the internet. Thanks, everyone. Later on, Sarah, I'll send you some pictures of screenshots of the calendar that I've got. And those of you who have legislation, I'll be in touch during the weekend. It won't be till tomorrow night, or Friday night, UK time, or Saturday and Sunday, it's more likely. So with that, I really thank you all. Thanks very much indeed, John, as well, for giving the summary. And have a good evening. And oho, as we say. We got to 25 today, so at 12, shut it down.